So, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to all our viewers in and around the globe. And welcome to another series of intimate conversations with myself, Mandy Horton. And guest today is the beautiful Lewis Martin. Welcome, Lou.
Thank you, Mandy. Great to be here with you.
Oh, so lovely for you to be here with me too. I am so thrilled. We met through the Unified Oneness Summit that Jeanette and I put on, and I really enjoyed your energy and what you brought to that, and our little
Thank you.
conversations and chats along the way. It was really beautiful, and I love what you do. I love who you are, and I really wanted to get you
Thank
on
you.
here and have another chat.
Okay, you talked me into it.
Cool. I'll just introduce you, Lou, to those who
Sure,
may not know you.
sure.
So Lou is a channel intuitive. So after passionate studies in acting for theatre and working for TV and managing bookshops in his early 20s, I'm going to read it as he's written it. I had a spiritual Kundalini awakening during meditation in 1987, which changed my life. This experience opened me to work with the conscious energy of spirit and my higher self. After studying with spirit guides and teachers for 5 years, I was unexpectedly initiated to begin to channel my own spirit guides. I've studied spiritual counseling at Agape Center
Yes,
under Reverend Dr. Michael Beckwith.
yes.
I've done many hundreds of intuitive and channeled readings. I've offered classes and healing sessions throughout the US, Canada, and Europe. I am a spiritual life coach, helping you to remember what you know. Life is a gift, it opens from within. I'm also a singer songwriter with 3 music videos, Warrior of Love. Um, I believe and take command on I believe and take command on YouTube. I've been doing a live podcast, poems and prayers on Facebook and Spotify for the last 7 years. I've done over 260 interviews with teachers of creativity and consciousness on Awakened Spirits Network on YouTube. My path is inspired by my own experiences with spirit and 37 years of studies with the works of Abraham Hicks, Greg Braden, Eckhart Tolle, David Icke, David Wilcock, Louise Hay, Doreen Virtue, Reverend Michael Beckwith, with Linda Dillon, Dranvelo Melchizedek, Julia Cameron, Deepak Chopra, as well as spiritual guides, Lazarus, Dr. Pebbles. Oh, I'd like to know about Dr. Pebbles.
Okay.
Oren Dabin, is it?
Yeah. Oren and Daben.
Oren and Dabin. And
Yeah.
Spirit, God, Goddess, all that is, peace, blessings. Lou. Wow.
Yo, you got me.
I got you.
If that
Awesome.
isn't, yes, if that isn't the most detailed biography on the planet, you know.
Oh, look, honestly, we've come to that place though, Lou, because we've been doing this for so long. We've been, these pioneers that have been paving the way. And we have a lot of background now, a lot of experience behind us. So our biology, those little intros are getting longer, actually.
Yes, dear. You did it
Yeah.
beautifully, Mandy. Thank you so much for wading through every teacher I ever met in my life. Yeah, bless your heart.
Yeah. No, that's wonderful. So, Lou, the first question I ask in this conversation, in which we just allow it to go where it's going to go, we have a
Of
chat
course.
basically, but it's highlighting you for sure. But were you an aware, conscious child?
Yeah, yeah. I can't claim that I was awake the whole time like you have shared with me and Jeanette and a few others. But my sense of it was I always felt I had some purpose that I wasn't clear what that was. And I grew up listening to the Beatles music, and that was I ate, slept, and breathed the Beatles music from like the second grade onward. And John Lennon and Paul McCartney were definitely big spirit guides in my journey, along with the others, Ringo. And I actually met Ringo one day at a bookshop, and
Oh,
George, of course. Yeah. At 16, I got invited to go hear Krishnamurti speak, and I had no idea who that was. And this is, a world class spiritual teacher whose books I read later in college and things like this. But
Mm,
yeah, Spirit started getting my attention early, and then I was working after college. I was working in bookshops and working in a spiritual bookshop for about 4 years there. And right around the harmonic convergence in 1987, the author of that book came to our bookshop. I did not meet him. I wasn't there that day, but I did read the book, The Mayan Factor, and I thought this is important and it has something to teach me. And so I was involved with the ceremonies there. And I don't remember either before or after that time, I had this spiritual awakening, Kundalini awakening in meditation, which, was the before and after moment of my life. And I felt that unconditional love of spirit. So from that point on, I knew that spirit was real, and I wanted to know more.
beautiful, eh? And that point there, isn't it just a filling up of love though? You know, when you have those sorts of experiences come in, I was just saying the other day about going through all the times that I'd had abuse in my ever forever existence,
Bless you.
And I went onto the porch and it was like, right, I really want to get all this done. I need to finish it, whatever that might mean, or deal with it in a situation that was affecting my daughter. And so I was outside on the porch and it was like everything, all of nature came forward and just
Wow.
wrapped itself around
Wow.
me into this beautiful presence of deep love, like actual beautiful. And I'd
Yes.
never experienced that before. And then
Yeah.
there was just this row, like film clips of all the lifetimes, just one after the other, and it was just I was held in this
Wow.
beautiful presence. And
Yes.
at the moments you just never forget, you cannot forget them. They're just embedded, aren't they, in your body?
Yes. Yes. It's pure grace, but we
Mhm.
have to be open to that and receptive to that, of course.
Yeah, yeah,
You
for
know,
sure.
beautiful, beautiful.
Yeah. And your music's a big part of who you are, eh? The
Well, it's gotten me through some tough times in the last few years, honestly. I was in hospital for 36 days in April and May of last year with a chest surgery, which I fully recovered from, thank goodness.
mm,
Uh, yeah, but so yeah, picking up the guitar and playing and writing and all that. I haven't done much writing for a while. I need to get back to that. But my grace of all this, since you and I have spoken, is I have a friend in the States who's offered to record an album of my songs, which is great.
wow,
Yeah,
cool.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's so
This is my
cool.
thank you, thank you. And so this is Ian Morris, who has a. I'm happy to support and promote his great work. He has a website called listeningtosmile.com, and he
Mm,
does healing music, and he's actually composed 153 albums of original music in the last 9 years, one per month for each month
wow.
of 9 straight years. And then, so we've known each other for off and on for a while, but he just reconnected with me a few months ago, and now I'm publishing in his magazine monthly, which I'll happily connect you with as well if you like. It's called
Absolutely.
Frequency Minded Magazine, and he and his partner, the lovely Fallon Morningstar, they're keeping us all busy, and I'm doing podcasts with them as well. So maybe I can return the favor there as well. So that's keeping me
Beautiful.
going. Yeah,
That's amazing. I there's something in us all,
it
around
is.
music, like
Mm,
it's that deep connection that we have to that as well, the vibration, sound, all that sort of thing. But
yeah, yeah,
it takes courage to bring that through ourself, I feel. For some
sure.
people, like
Oh yes, no, it does.
definitely that.
You have to put it out there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you do.
But
And it
it's such a beautiful gift, Mandy. Sorry,
mm,
because just a whole other. It's just like the channeling. A whole other part of me just comes in and takes over, and I'm like, lit up for
yeah,
a day afterwards. Typically,
yeah.
yeah,
I've got some friends who he was a sound man for sound and lighting for people like Michael Jackson. He worked with Michael.
sure. Wow.
And he did some really great stuff, and then he met my friend, good friend, and got married to her, and he sort of stopped the road, being the roadie and getting out there and doing that sort of thing, but he kept going in his own way, and he set up a recording studio, little recording studio at his house.
Right.
And he said to me one day, Mandy, you've got a really good voice. Have you, do you do anything? I said, no. I said, I don't let people hear me. I'll sing at home when I'm vacuuming and, doing my thing. I'll have the music up and do my thing. But I was always
Right.
afraid of letting people hear me. And he said, well, Colin, why don't we, what's your some favorite song or something like that? And we can go in and do this recording. And I
Okay.
was so freaked out, honestly. Anyway, I did. I got it, and my thing was Carole King Tapestry, and
Oh, great.
and two um, Way Over There, and then You Got a Friend. And so anyway, we did those, and I could feel my throat like this, like, I'm trying to sing. And he said to me, and I got so sick of myself trying to keep, like, yeah, I'd say, hang on, stop, Rob, let's do it again. And I'd start again and it'd still be quivering. And I was really holding myself back. And I could feel this energy wanting to just let go. And I said
Sure.
to Rob, I'm quivering, eh? And he goes, yeah. I said, that's because I'm holding myself back, eh? He's on the other side of the room. We're talking through the mic.
Sure.
He goes,
Sure.
yeah. And I went, right, crank it up. Because he had her
Okay.
playing and I was singing with her, Carol.
Okay.
And
Right.
so I said, right, crank it up, Rob. So he turned it up louder and and honestly, Lou, I
Okay.
heard this glass shattering. I
Wow.
heard the glass shattering that I had put myself in.
Wow.
It was incredible. And then
Good for you. Good
you
for
could
you.
not get me out of there.
Oh, great.
You
Lovely.
couldn't
Yes.
get me out.
That's
I loved it. Oh my God, I
blessing.
want to do it every day. It's you. It's just us, like actually expressing it. It's really a beautiful thing.
Yeah, it's our spirit, Mandy. I mean, that's a beautiful story. We've both worked with a lot of people, healing sessions and readings and all that. And, it's my experience, you talked about asking for help, surviving some experience of abuse of your
Yes.
daughter, if I heard you right,
Yep.
and, I mean, this is my, you got the message from spirit on that moment, it's like, get loud, sister, you'll be just fine. And
Yeah.
I find this, I'm always encouraging women to scream and shout, literally, or to sing or to chant, but anything to open up the throat, because like you're saying, so many women have been denied of their emotional truth and their
Yes.
voices, and
Yes.
it's an important thing for women to take their power back in that way. So good for
Mm.
you. Well done.
It took some going though, Robert, and I'm
It
so
does. That's how you
so
know it's the real
thankful.
thing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he
honey.
was so
Yeah.
patient. But no, it's
Well,
a great thing. And there is so many women out there that have been, just shut down. And men too. Not even just women. So
sure.
so Lou, you do one-on-one sessions and you offer your guidance and help to people, eh?
Right. Yes.
Yep.
Yeah. Um, I mean, I get into that trance state to channel for people, but usually I do a prayer and a reading, and we just
Yep.
talk for like the first half of the thing, just to kind of get the energies open and get people really in their body and
Mm.
opening their heart. And then by the end of it, the channeling is kind of the dessert after the dinner, where it's really moving the energy out of the way, kind of thing, or and bringing
Mm.
in more love and more light, like your experience and mine that we're talking about here, these mystical breakthroughs that really are the connection to our higher self and soul, I believe.
Yes, absolutely. And so, you know, when you look at the world, Lou, what do you feel like? What's your feeling around what we're experiencing and how things are rolling?
a
Yeah.
softball, as we say in the interview
Yeah.
business. Yes.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's yes, of course. I mean, like yourself, Mandy, I feel like we've been preparing for this moment this entire lifetime, and we were saying the same thing with Jeanette over the summer. It's like, we're really getting the band back together now, gathering the tribes. I'm in Ian's group. I'm in A Course in Miracles study group now for the last
Yeah.
6 weeks. I'm in Speakeasy, which is a course group where I sing. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 groups at this point. That
Beautiful.
I'm involved with, and I'm sure
Mhm.
it's the same yourself. You're nodding agreement over there.
Yeah. Yeah. And it is that our tribe, we are coming together again, and it's a beautiful thing. I'm seeing a lot of newness coming in, a lot
Yes,
of
yes,
the old programming is done. We've sort of moved out of all of that. We've got no desire to be a part of any of it anymore or even
yeah,
think about it, to be honestly.
sure, sure, yeah,
And it's that thing now where we're actually able to create from a new space, which I find exciting.
I
And
agree.
and it's, I'm seeing lots of new things coming into play. If we talk about building the new world, we're definitely in that space of architects. We're doing the
Yeah,
architectural stuff, and we're starting to form this thing that's sitting somewhere within us all, and being expressed more and more. Uh,
yes, yes.
and it's great. And I'm really seeing men soften low. This
Oh,
is what I love to see. It's
yeah,
the
honey, yeah.
men softening, and actually standing with us women now. It's
I'm
beautiful.
delighted. I'm delighted to hear that.
Mm,
Um, Honestly, I do everything online these days. I used to do it all in person, and so for like the last 10 years, it's basically been online.
yeah,
And the advantage of that is like chatting with you in New Zealand, and I'm in Ireland, and all the rest of it. But to meet people face to face and work with them with these energies is,
yeah.
I'm looking forward to that, I guess is what I'm saying here, to get back out in the world and be connecting with people in that way.
Mm, mm.
Yeah, I mean, women are finding their voices and men are finding their hearts. That's what I would say.
Absolutely. That is definitely what's happening. And I'm finding the desire now for more people actually to come together in the
Mhm.
present,
Yeah,
not online. I know
yeah,
a lot of us types are getting, they've got to a point where it's like, well, I can't get people in. And I said, because there's so much online that's free now too. It's like
mm,
there's a whole different flow, but it's finding your place again too. I know I felt like we were starting all over again. We weren't actually, but it felt like that. It felt like we'd had this big movement, and now it's like, okay, we're starting again. What is this? You
sure,
know?
sure. Yeah. I mean, I
Mm.
think there's really, I'm reading right now. You nodded about the Course in Miracles. Have you worked with that yourself
I've
at all?
I've got the book and I love it. I love it. Very
Okay, you might.
profound and
Yes,
all that.
yes, very good. I'm reading. So one of the teachers from the course of the course is a guy named Gary Renard, who
Yeah.
wrote a book called Disappearance of the Universe, and he had two of his spirit guides materialize on his sofa one day about 20 years ago, and they're Persa and Artis, a man and a woman, and or woman and man in that order, and telling him that he was St. Thomas, doubting Thomas back in the life of Jesus.
Right.
And yeah, it's absolutely just blowing my mind because I mean, a lot of what I, talk about, think about at the moment, maybe better said, is, this imminent sense of multidimensionality, and that the world really is a self-projected illusion, as the Course teaches in there. It says at the beginning of the book, it says, this is a required course. Because you have free will doesn't mean you can set the agenda. And so I'm coming back to it after many years of sitting in groups. I couldn't manage to do it just on my own. So I salute you if you can do that. it's quite confronting to the ego, but doing it in a daily group has been a great blessing. But basically,
Mm,
it's the same message, as all the wisdom teachings, which is that, this illusion of separation is a dream. And,
yes.
as we are awakening from the dream and building a new dream, the fifth dimensional dream of love and unity and synchronicity and being in harmony with each other and all that, we're getting to really take our goggles off and see things more clearly. And at the same time, other people are holding on for dear life. God love us. So you
Mm,
know,
yeah.
it's
And
getting interesting.
it is getting very interesting. And it was really crazy at one point, it's sort of moved. I've moved through from the crazy, if we look at it like that,
Sure,
really. But
sure,
it was that every single conscious reality was playing out, and you could see it all everywhere. It was like every different bits and pieces of all sorts was just absolutely mishmashing out there somewhere. It was
sure,
crazy. It was like, oh my goodness me. And now it's sort of maybe me. It's me, of course. All this is my reality. So
sure, honey.
it's like that now has become, it feels like the detachment, or not the detachment, but the
Mm,
immersion of all of that. And now it's balancing in a way that is
yeah,
just very beautifully profound. And I remember
beautiful.
finding myself in that space when I was younger. But
Mhm.
what I'm feeling now is what I used to feel back there. And there were
Yes,
pockets of that I could meet in that space. And then
right.
there was all that, and then I'd come
Sure.
into that pocket again. And this pocket feels more permanent now. That's
Yes.
that's where it
Well,
feels.
yeah, honey, I love what you're saying. I mean, joy, Abraham, the basis of life is freedom, the purpose of life is joy. And,
Mm,
innocence, I'm a huge fan of innocence, and, Jesus saying to enter the kingdom, you have to be as innocent as a child. And, like the joy and innocence, these are the states that spirit is in. And, if we're doing the roller coaster, not so helpful. But if we can find that, go into peace as often and as deeply as possible, is the way my guides put it. And that
yeah.
way we can listen to, trust, and follow our loving
Mm,
inner guidance. And then we become, more able and more available to project these love and light energies into the world. And then,
yeah,
you see things just flowing, don't you?
you do. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's so much fun because, and this is what I love teaching people, is how it works, how we
Yes.
energetically work, and how we can actually create everything in our world, everything, and move those mountains, when we need to, all those things. But it's
Yeah.
it's it's a beautiful thing. But I was just talking about the other day with a person. We were having a galactic. I was talking with a lady on my other podcast, Shoot the Breeze, and it was around um, outer world connection, and she
Okay.
runs groups where they connect to
Oh,
ET,
yeah.
whatever we want to call them, brothers and
Sure.
sisters, and
Sure.
all the
Right.
information and stuff. But anyway, we're talking,
Starbeing.
and I was saying about how a young man, a family had come to me years ago, and he'd gone AWOL. He'd disappeared for a few days, but he'd mentally something shifted before this happened, obviously, and they were concerned. I said he'd be back in 2 days, and he actually turned up in 2 days, which was great.
Wow. Yeah.
He was fine, but they brought him to me. They said, well, when he comes back, we want to bring him to you. And so I put him on the table, and as soon as I walked into his field, my hands read the field, and I get all this information. But as soon as I did that, I
Beautiful.
I could feel the shift, and there were two beings. So there
Oh,
was his being, and then there was this other being, and the other one I was trying to work out what this was, who this was.
yeah. Yeah.
And as I stepped in, I had the feel to open my eyes, and as I opened my eyes, I looked down at this boy's face, who was up, I was at his head, and his eyes opened, And this being that was in his body was the most innocence I've ever felt, Lou. It was just
Wow.
incredibly pure,
Wow.
like
Wow,
so
wow.
pure. I'd never felt anyone on the planet had that energy at all. Was like,
My God.
and this being had come in, it was a contracted agreement that he would come in or it would come in to
Yeah,
experience and just view here for a little while, not long, just a short
right,
visit.
right. Checking it
Um,
out.
yeah, checking it out. And in that sort of situation, there's nothing I can do about that. Often we can move those bodies out of that body and bring the other one back in, but it was an agreement. So there was nothing I could
Yeah,
do, knowing that it was only going to be for another few days. But he was fine
yeah,
after all that. But honestly, that feeling, I had never felt it before and I'll never forget it. It was the purest of pure innocence.
yeah.
Oh,
Beautiful.
and the
Yeah,
wonder in the eyes, the wonder of, "Oh my goodness, look at
yeah.
this place," like everything was just in wonderment within this
I love
innocence.
it.
Oh, it was gorgeous.
Yeah, yeah,
Really
yeah.
beautiful.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you're describing it very well. I think that most of the consciousness that exists, is very loving and very kind and very benevolent and is, consciously connected to source, whatever name you want to use, and
Yeah.
God, Goddess, all that is, and is reverential and respectful and all of that. Patricia Cotorobo's,
Yeah,
she in her cosmology, she tells the story that we were, 12 planets and 12 suns and 12 strand DNA and 12, 12, 12, 12 chakras, all of this. And that somewhere along the way, we opened ourselves up to take on the darkness of the universe that wasn't evolving in harmony with everything else. And we're just now finally able, after thousands of years, to come back out of that nightmare basically of the
yeah,
darkness and back into the light, so that the darkness is a contrast, not a conflict, not something we give our power
yes.
away you know
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And that, for me, that has huge compassion and
yes,
come in and move this, do this, learn it, whatever it might be. And I think we've all got
yeah.
tired of waiting for that.
Well, yeah,
I think,
yeah,
it comes back to that place where everyone has choice, and you see that, yes, okay, there's choice there. People have made choices and made change, and even
yes,
those who still need that world to play out for them, that one that we're moving through from,
sure, sure,
they still require that, and that's okay. And
yes,
it's quite
evidently
hard.
it is.
Yeah, it is, and
Yeah,
very difficult for some people to realize that actually there's no point in trying to get rid of it because everyone wants it gone. "Oh my god, I
yeah,
don't like this. I just want it to go
yeah,
away." And
yeah,
there isn't a rhyme or reason in that. It's necessary. We had to have that to learn and understand and grow into what we've come through from.
yes,
All
yes,
all through all that shite. So,
yeah, yeah, yeah. No, you're
others
fine
need
here.
that as well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, 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 yeah. I mean, we talking about my teachers. Lazarus is where I
Mm,
really started, and I've worked with them, through this wonderful channel, Jack Purcell, and their guided meditations and workshops for nearly 40 years, at this point. And Lazarus says basically that in all of creation, the love of human beings is quite unique. You're
yeah,
really touching on it there because, as you said, you jumped right to it. We have the compassion to take on the darkness, knowing more deeply, we will always return to the light that we are eternally. And
yeah.
as we're saying here, you know, we are blessed to be living in that moment. I mean,
Mm,
I just put on the auroras, for a background here tonight. Wanted to join us, and of course, we were saying earlier, with the solar flares, which are just off the charts. The heavens are lighting up all over the world, and people are seeing, the magic and the beauty of life in a whole new way that most of us have
yes.
not seen before.
Yeah, it's beautiful. And there was a lady in Auckland here who used to channel Abraham.
Yes.
biblical Abraham, and she put into transcripts, and I had the transcripts, and I'm so like, don't know where they went. I've given them to somebody, and it's one of those things that you wish you hadn't done, but anyway, bless them.
Mhm.
And in those transcripts, Abraham said that we will notice because he talked about the new world coming in and what we would be
Yeah,
going through and the
yeah,
Armageddon and all the thing. And then
yeah.
he said about we will know when we have changed. I can't remember exact wording, but it was to do with the colors in the sky. You will
Oh
know
my.
you will know by the colors in the sky and how
Well, there you
much
are.
it's changed. Yeah,
Yeah. I mean, I've been quoting, that makes perfect sense to me. There's a line from the Bible where it says there'll be signs in heaven and on earth,
that's
you know,
right. Yeah,
when
yeah,
these times are upon us. And yes, you know,
yeah.
uh, we're in the last degree astrologically in the US of the Pluto return of Pluto in Capricorn, the 29th degree for the next 5 weeks leading
Yeah.
up to a little general election you might have heard about. And, the suspense is breathtaking,
I know.
downs.
I know, and I just saw this Basha
Yeah,
um clip, which was
right.
really interesting because he said somebody asked him the question must have been around election.
Yeah, yeah.
And he said that's something I'm not allowed to say. Um, but he said, if I do, what I will say, I really am going to ask you first, will you take responsibility for your actions? And they all said yes, because they were on bated breath, wanting to know what he was going to
Yes.
say.
Promise you anything. Tell
Oh
us.
my
Yeah.
goodness. And he said the woman she will offer an opening, or through the female, there will be an opening to open conversation, open connection, open connection, which I felt that seems ET-ish to me, like outer world connection.
Yes. Well, they've been talking about that too, Bashar.
Absolutely. And then he said, so will you take he kept bringing that, will you take responsibility for your action? Yes. Okay, so then the male will bring the termination of America, United States of America, and World War III. Will you take responsibility? Kept saying, he said it again after he said that. So, in other words, are you going to take responsibility with this information now, knowing what that is, whatever that might have been, really, in voting, I suppose, and putting your energy where is it that you're going to put your energy? Know that you have to take responsibility for that. Yeah, it was quite interesting, and it left me sort of a little bit like, wow, because he doesn't talk about anything like that, and he
Right.
was very cryptic in lots of ways because he apparently wasn't allowed to say much. So that's
Yeah.
interesting.
Oh, yeah. Fascinating. Well, we'll know soon enough. It's 3 weeks away.
Yeah,
We're getting there quickly. Um,
yeah. And
yeah.
do you think it will happen?
Well, so I mean, yeah, I'm as mystified as the next person. I mean, what I see happening is that there is so much corruption in
Mm,
on both sides of government. And frankly, I've learned a lot of things about how the Democrats have manipulated the media against Trump for not just the last few years, but for the last 8 years. That
yeah,
it's really set me back on my heels. I'm a fan of Bobby Kennedy, and he was the campaign I was supporting.
yeah.
So I just got my ballot yesterday, literally. So it's I'm giving it some thought, as you might imagine. But
Mm,
we'll find out soon enough. Let's check in after the election, and we can have a
yeah, wow.
post
Yeah,
game.
yeah.
You
No,
know
very
what I
interesting.
want to yeah what I want to share with you, my friend, is that and thank you for sharing that with me. I got to talk to Bashar back in the day in Los Angeles,
Mm.
and that was part of how I got on this path, was being able to see so many channels. But you mentioned Dr. Peebles, so I
Yes,
want
I
to
was gonna
tell
bring
you.
that up. Cool.
Sure, absolutely. Well, here it is. So Dr. Peebles was just shy of 100 years old when he passed over at the turn of the 20th century, and he was one of the founders of the spiritualist movement,
Mm.
and he was also a medical doctor and a naturopath. And he also happened to be gay, I found out along the line there. But he was a brilliant, beautiful soul. And he was a brilliant, beautiful soul. And he, in his passing, he asked God if he could be of service to humanity. And that gave him the enlightenment that he'd been working on for many lifetimes. And so there, I've chatted with Dr. Peebles through 4 or 5 different channels over the years, and he's a great gift. So the one I know most recently is a woman named Summer Bacon, and you can go to her website, just like it sounds, summerbacon.com. But what she did in the last channeling from Dr. Peebles is, I've heard it, is, he reminds us all that we're not separate from anything, to come
No.
back to Bashar's point. And, it's, of course, responsibility is the key. And what my guides, I was thinking of this recently, my guide said you're only responsible for what you understand in life.
Yeah.
But to the degree that you understand something is to the degree that you take responsibility for it. And
Mm.
by taking responsibility for anything, you become able to understand what it is. So
Yes.
it's like these 3 steps, of going from detachment to involvement to commitment, basically. And sure, isn't that what you and I have learned, Mandy,
Yeah.
in this lovely life, that whatever the challenges, whatever the chaos or crisis, if we will, humble ourselves and ask for help, and especially if we'll devote ourselves to helping others, then everything is possible.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so many new purposes coming on board too, aren't they? Like, I get so many, and again, going to that word purpose.
Yes,
um,
dear.
you know,
Very, very handy.
I know, and it's
Yeah.
like, so many are caught up on what is my purpose? I don't know what my purpose is. And it's for me, simply it's know yourself. Like
Yes.
just know yourself. Once you know
Yeah.
who you are, the true you, then
Yes.
there's everything just falls into place.
Well said. Yes.
It's not a
Yeah.
hunting thing anymore, you're not hunting it out, trying to figure it out, and it just is, it flows.
Yes. Well,
Yeah.
and you touched on it in your breakthrough with your singing,
Yeah.
and I've had to confront my fears and insecurities, with that, many, many times. And, you just learned that if you're having fun, you're there, you're showing up, and if you're
Absolutely.
in your head and worried and anxious and projecting that, oh, they want this and I want that, you're not in the present moment, and that's really the whole thing of why we come here, I truly believe.
Mm,
My God say you come to the earth for one purpose, and that's to make peace with change. And how
mm,
we learn to do that, like we're saying, is
yes.
taking responsibility and showing up as we truly are.
Mm. Absolutely. And that word responsibility too weighs people down. It has this heaviness to it. Oh my God. And when I looked up, because I thought I'm going to look up meaning of
Right. Oh,
responsibility,
good.
it
Yeah.
was just purely able to respond. Well,
Right. Your ability to
and I
respond.
exactly. And I thought I'm so able to respond. Why do I just put so much weight on that being a responsibility thing?
Sure.
The term around that, we've made responsibility really heavy.
Well, yes, because it's such an important point, Mandy, because we have this illusion of separation,
Yes.
that we're not loved by God, and we don't deserve to be helped or guided or inspired or prospered or blessed or healed. And of course, none of those things are true. So,
No.
so you go down the list in life and you go, well, this worked out and that turned around and this came true, and you start to go, yeah, maybe there is a smarter part of myself that I should listen to.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, for sure. I always called it the observer, was always here,
Yeah, yeah,
observing, and that wisdom that used to be there, and I'd think, "Why do I not listen to this more and stop playing out all this drama here?" But there was a point,
sure.
and eventually they move forward, the other moves back, and you start, living that.
Yes,
Mm.
yes, yes, dear. Well, I wish I had no idea what you're talking about, but of course I completely understand because that's my story too. But the great thing about getting older and having a lot of experience to draw from, and highs and lows and all that, loss and gain, with people, etc., is that you do start to see things from a deeper place in your heart,
Mhm.
and we become more willing.
Yeah,
I truly believe, like you were saying about men softening, it's great, and women finding their voice. I
yeah.
see many younger people, especially women right now, really finding their voice, and just stepping into their power without any
Mm.
self-consciousness at all. And it's just breathtaking.
It is, I know, it's really, really beautiful watching all of these, you know, everyone just opening up, blossoming, like, boom, here I am, and the new that's coming in with them, and all the beautiful gifts that they're now really embracing, within
Yes.
self. It's such a beautiful thing. And these
Yeah.
men, there's so many men that have been like so many of us women who've been on our own for many years, dealing with
Sure.
self. and
Right.
and didn't have the capacity to take on much else, but
Sure.
that in respect to that, there's so many of these men now that have done that internal stuff. They've done the journey as well. They've walked that walk and that talk,
Yeah.
and they're
Yeah.
now ready to sort of step back out again and stand with woman in that power of self and
Yeah.
awareness and truth. And it is a beautiful thing. And when I looked back, because my partner, ex-husband, but husband for 45 years, passed 2 days before the summit,
I
and
remember, sweetheart. Bless you.
yes, and I had to park it up. It was like, "God, I've gotta park
Yeah.
this up and do this summit, and then I'm free to go and deal with that," but
Yeah.
there was so much that kept rising in me through that, and it was like, I have to just stay centered, stay present right here. But in respect to that, what I'd recognized since then is the aspects of myself that are now not necessary to play. So I'm not his wife anymore. That's done. That part of me is now I can release that. The part of me that was protecting my daughters from their fathers, that part there, I don't need to any longer. It's like these parts of us that are coming forward and able to be released now because we've made them redundant. They're not who we are anymore, and allowing these new aspects of self to come forward. And in that recognition, I think there's so many now who are standing on in those places of looking back at themselves and going, "Wow, I don't need to be this anymore. I don't need to play this part out anymore. I can let that go."
Yeah.
And allow this newness of self, whatever that is, because
Yeah.
it has a pause to it where you're standing in there going, "Okay, what is this now? Who am I now?" That
Sure.
whole identity is just falling away from us, and it's a really beautiful. I'm loving it. I love that part.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it
And
comes
it's
back
like
full circle
when
to innocence.
Yes, and what you were saying before about many holding on for dear life, that is what I
Right.
see too. It's like, no,
Yeah.
just let it
Yeah.
go. Be willing
Yeah.
to let it
Yeah.
go.
Well,
Mm,
bless you. I mean, no, my heart really goes out to you, to lose anyone you're that close to,
thank
in
you.
the midst of all the work and organizing and being present you had to do for day after day, for the conference. I just really salute your courage and commitment, and thank you from the bottom of my heart.
No,
Because
thank you.
it was a beautiful thing, and you guys did an amazing job on it.
It
You and
was a
Jeanette.
beautiful thing. Mm,
Yeah, yeah. Um, I mean, what comes to my mind here is that I was on a lot of calls with people, including a friend of mine from Australia, after the hurricane in North Carolina, which I
Right.
did also lose some friends. They just disappeared. You know,
Oh,
they're gone.
no.
Yeah, bless them. Dan Watson and his wife Miranda. Yeah, so that was a bit of a shock, as you can imagine. But I mean, what happened
Absolutely.
then? Yeah, thank you. What happened was then we had the hurricane coming in Florida, so I was involved in these Zoom calls to prevent catastrophe from happening two
Yeah,
times in 2 weeks, and we succeeded in doing that. Basically, we
yeah.
helped to turn a Category 5 hurricane into a two, which actually the
Beautiful.
eye of it broke apart when it made landfall on the
Oh,
west coast of Florida, and it still was a big mess with many tornadoes, which is a mystery, but it wasn't the full blown catastrophe, which it would have been a few days earlier. So that was very empowering, just like
yes.
your story of getting through that time, losing your partner over the summer. That, it was, we get challenged in these moments, but
We
if we
do.
trust there's a purpose for it, then there's a lot of grace on the other side of that. And I just experienced that with these people.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, that was huge, massive, wasn't it? Honestly, that was just mind-bogglingly big.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But
Huge.
you're absolutely right. But what it's done, as grief does and loss does, is it's opened everyone's heart around
That's
the
right.
situation, to
Yeah.
pour forth a lot of love and help. So that is,
Yeah.
that's another thing that's affecting people's consciousness about the next few months here,
Yes, yeah,
the
for sure.
election and everything else.
Yeah. Yeah. I know there's a lot of talk around, what are they going to create to disrupt that so that it doesn't actually occur, all of that sort of thing. But we'll just wait and see what happens, really, I suppose. But that's
Sure.
another point in there too, Lou, that I find,
Yeah.
and I saw this through the COVID era, where there was so much mental going on, all the information flooding in. It was an overload of all this information and all the things. So it was a big, huge mental
Yeah.
realm
Yeah.
going on
Yeah.
out there. And what
Yeah.
I came back to, because I went into it myself, and then it was like, I
Sure.
can't be there. I just can't. I get what's happening, so drop it, let it go, leave it alone. And in that place, recognizing that what had happened was it had taken everyone out of the energetic, working with energy, everyone went to the mind and the story and dropped the energy space, which we needed actually more energy working going on in that sort of realm. And this is what I'm seeing again, well, all the time. That's who we are. We are energy being. And so if we look at it more in that frequency energy state, we can start like you did, affect what's
Yeah.
going on, have an effect
Yeah.
in it, and create it into a lesser space.
Yeah. Again, take what responsibility we have, you know,
Exactly. Yeah, exactly
and
that.
yeah.
Yeah.
No, my guides talk about enlightened group consciousness and
Mm.
how, like, again, with the conference that you created with Jeanette and I got to be a part of, the phrase, when two or more are gathered together in my name, I am there
Yes.
in the midst. And
Yeah.
if you say to the mountain, move, the mountain will move, and there's a lot of wisdom in that. So when you have thousands of people or millions of people, joining together, like Pam Gregory an astrologer, and
Yes.
she,
Love
you know,
Pam.
she asked people to meditate at 7 p.m. local time on Sunday nights. I'm not always present at that moment, but when I think of it, I do that. But I've also
Yes.
been we're talking about Orin, um, ORINDABEN.com. Orin.ben is Sanaya Roman and Dwayne Packer, and they channel these two spirit guides. They have wonderful resources. I've used them for years, and they have a spirit of peace meditation they ask people to do Sunday mornings at 9 a.m. and things like this. and you're doing your work and I'm doing my work, and that creates the field around us, and
Mm,
gets it interacting with other fields, and that shifts the energies.
yeah, absolutely. Yes, it's interesting because I was just feeling, Gaia, I found it really difficult to have her name, to get her name as Gaia. It's like been something that still feels a little off for me. I don't know why, but anyway, this Earth Mother of ours, this
Yeah.
beautiful being, she's calling me to something at this moment, and just in the last month or so, coming through all of this tunnel that I've been in because I shifted house and I'm in this beautiful space right now that I'm just me, you know,
Yeah.
so in my own space now. and and connecting in again, just having that space to be able to be silent and still and not have my granddaughter come in and interrupt and all those things, all the
Yeah.
blessing that I have with her. But it's like, oh, it was so cool to just be on my own.
Oh,
So
sure.
in that space, I can feel this pulling, and I'm getting the urge to exactly what you were just saying there around energetic work, but in the sense of looking at what our connection is to those hurricanes, to those the parts of the earth that are rattling, rocking, and rolling. What parts is that within ourself? Um,
Yes.
and draw that through because we've had, there's so much fear that still rises in a lot of people connected to old trauma throughout other
Yes.
times of,
Yeah.
Lemuria or Atlantis or
Sure.
whatever the thing might have been.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Mm,
Absolutely.
yeah,
uh, I get the same message, Mandy. I'm hearing this from a lot of other teachers every day. Mother Earth, Mother Earth, Mother Earth,
yeah,
needs your attention, needs your attention.
yes,
Please support her. Please give thanks. Take time to
mm,
be with her. Bless her. Yeah, I mean,
yeah,
um, there's another channel I like. A young lady. Her name is Eluna,
oh
Eluna.
yes, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
and very good. I'm not surprised. And she's talking about yesterday, from Egypt. This is recorded. She's still over there, and she says this is Ascension Phase 2 now. And we had these massive solar flares in May, and we
Mm,
had the total solar eclipse in April, and then we just had the annular solar eclipse over Easter Island, over Papa Nui, am I saying that? Yeah,
I
Rapa
think so,
Nui,
yep.
Rapa Nui, yeah, and with Maki Maki as a planetoid, which was aligned to the eclipse. This
Okay. I don't
this
know
this
that.
body that's named for the god of Rapa Nui, and yeah, there's a lot of signs in heaven and earth saying
So many.
profound cosmic changes on the way.
Yeah. And it is I got a little like jittery around what is coming, and then it was like,
Yes.
just allow, like just don't go
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
That's the story we're going
Yeah.
into. Don't do it because there's no answer to that. We don't really know how this is going to play out.
Right.
Um,
Right.
but I get, when the times we've experienced these timeline shifts, which is the only way that I can put them, is
Yeah.
is those massive waves we've got coming through and have had come through that have moved us into like leaped over, basically quantum leaping through where we didn't have to do all this here. Now we can jump that and come into this bit here.
Yes.
um,
Yes. Yes.
and those times there, that's been exciting, like,
Yeah.
recognizing that this is what we're doing. We're actually bringing ourselves into new space, and we are now able to create new. And I think, we're talking like blackout, all that stuff, right? And recently, the Schumann resonance has actually created blackout on that scale. And I'm like, are we making up a story around, oh, it's going to create all this, and we're not going to have that, and we're not going to have this, and prepare, when actually it's a blackout on that system, you know, We're creating that,
I
and
hear you.
how much of it is story that we go into, eh?
Sure, no, 100%, and that is the to be a child of God, and to know that our Father in heaven has put us here for a joyous purpose,
Yeah.
and that we're being a bridge between heaven and earth.
Mm,
You and I and the other old souls on the planet. I say to my friend Annie, we talk about this stuff every day. I'm sure you have your buddies you bounce these things off of. I
yeah.
say, all right, there's three things to be grateful for. We know what's happening, we know why it's happening, and we know what to do about it. So
Yes.
that's more than most people on the planet, as far as I can tell.
Absolutely. I know. I think about that too, Lou, and it inspires me to speak out more around it because it's like, yes, let's get those, like, whoever's ready to listen, to
Yes.
come to that understanding. And I know the many times I have people sit with me, for
Yeah.
readings and
Yeah.
guidance, and they have these massive things going on in their life. And as soon as they're given the bigger picture, there's just
Yeah.
this calm that comes in, this like, oh my God, right, I get it. And that
Right.
brings a peace, even though there's
Sure.
still these steps to be taken in the physical that might still be a bit uncertain in some way. But
Yeah.
with that bigger picture behind them, they get it, and it makes it a lot easier to go through. Mm.
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, the other thing along with the auroras is, the veils getting thinner and spirits showing up
Mm.
more tangibly for more people.
Yes.
Angels and people that have passed over, and people opening to channel, and people getting downloads, as they say, and psychic messages, and lucid dreams, and out of body experience, and near death experience. And it's just
Yeah,
becoming much more acceptable to talk about these things, thank
it
goodness.
is.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. And I really see the choice now. A lot of people now are just wanting fun and joy, they
Yeah.
really are. They
There's a
really
concept.
are.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
and I love
Um,
that. That's me.
yeah, sure. Yes. Yes.
Mm.
Yeah, my joke is I've tried everything else.
Yeah, true.
Might as, might as well try this, see
Yeah.
how this fits. Yeah, no, it's bless us. It's we're really, it's a huge privilege, and it's a big responsibility, but it's also, the opportunity of many, many lifetimes.
Mm.
My guides call this the lifetime of lifetimes, because,
Uh,
of what is available to us, and that we can really begin to see through the illusions, and really lean on and work with and dance with the truth,
yeah,
that sets us free, and be an agent of that in the world is a huge gift, really.
absolutely. I know. I just feel so filled up with gratitude and feels just so blessed to just be here in this form at this time.
It's
And
all
with
right.
beautiful, beautiful souls like yourself, Lou, thank you so
Hey,
much for
thank
coming
you.
in and sharing yourself in this
Pleasure.
way with us. And people can find you where? How do they get hold of you, Lou?
Yeah. So I don't have one of those little website things at the moment. So you can find me on Facebook at Lou Martin or Lightheart 2012, or you can look at my Facebook group or YouTube channel called Awakened, past tense, Awakened Spirits Network. And you can find me at any of those spots. I'm happy to connect with
Beautiful.
folks. Yeah,
Oh, that's beautiful. Well, wonderful, wonderful. And I think of you often with love. I love that we've found each other again in some this way. I just think it's a beautiful thing, and
I
um,
agree. I
and know
agree.
that you're another beautiful light shining out there on this globe. It's beautiful. So
Thank
thank
you. And
you.
well, my pleasure. We'll talk LifeWave and patches next time. How's that sound?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we will. Perhaps
All right.
we'll do a shoot the breeze and talk about that.
That would be great. That would be
Yeah,
great.
I
I
reckon.
look forward to that. Mandy, I love you. God bless you, sweetheart. Be well. Thank you so
Mwah.
much.
Will be. Thank you. Much
Okay.
love.